Hello and welcome back to the Will I Vike It podcast. Today my guest is Leela Bunce. Welcome to the show, Leela.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to have you. It's taken us a little while to sort this one out, but
Yes. We're
yeah,
busy people.
yes, we are.
What's
You in
that?
particular, I think. So I don't know, as I've already explained to you, I don't know an awful lot about your background. But I came across you through an event that you were going to do at Butser.
Mm,
So I wondered maybe first if the best thing to get you to do is like the elevator pitch. Like, how do you
okay.
explain to people what you do?
Yes, good question. Well, I worked for years as a clown, and that was my training. Really, my background was
Didn't see
clown
that coming.
and physical theatre,
Yeah.
and I did a lot of cabaret for years, and which was an amazing training ground because, of course, with cabaret as opposed to theatre, you're usually in a smaller, kind of more intimate setting. There's no fourth wall. You're looking people in the eye. You're getting instant reactions.
Yeah.
That I really love. And yeah, so then I did a lot of stuff around clown, various shows, which actually all have had a historical angle because my degree was in history, and I've always tried to tie in history with all of my own work, and sort of telling untold stories from the past. So I did a show called Waiting for Stanley, which I took to the Edinburgh Festival, which was a solo clown show about women on the home front,
All right.
particularly sort of at the end of the war, and how the
Yeah.
war finished, but it very much sort of carried on for a lot of women, because then the men came back, and they were still holding a lot, trying to support the men coming back. And
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't just finish and everything was all fine, and it was yes, and so it
It's
was
a funny thing with like the way history is written, isn't it? Like we read it in a book and it's kind of, and then it ended here. It's like, well, it didn't though,
yes,
did it?
that was the end of that. We all moved on, but actually,
Mm.
yeah, it wasn't like that. And yeah, that was all based on real stories from women that I spoke to,
Yeah.
and archives and so on. And that's what I've always been very interested in. And again, with clown, again, there's no fourth wall. So even if you're doing a clown show in a theatre, you're very much looking people in the eye, and there's that connection with the audience that I really love. And it's very much coming from the heart, rather than the head, if you see what I mean. It's
Yeah.
a very sort of human, less cerebral approach to everything, which I really like. And
So
so
how do you connect like clowns with war? I don't know. How did that work?
I think it was because I was very much interested in that period, and I've always been interested in social history, and
Yeah.
particularly everyday history, the history of the everyday, the history of the sort of the mundane, of what was a Tuesday like 200 years ago, 500 years ago,
Yeah.
in a particular place for normal people. I've never been interested in the kings and the queens and the battles and
Yeah.
it's yeah, I've always just wanted to know about everydayness, and so that was a real interest. And I read a book by a brilliant author who's now become a good friend of mine, called Julie Summers, which, oh gosh, and the title annoyingly escapes me now. Sorry, Julie. Which was particularly was about when the soldiers came home, and how it was actually at the end of the war. And that moment I found really fascinating, and I wanted to look into more. Yes. So sorry, your question was about clowns. What I find with clown is that approach of just getting to the heart of something. For
Mm.
the clown, it's all about what does something feel like, and if you want to get to the heart of a subject, then doing it through clown is a brilliant way, and especially because I had an hour slot, especially when you do the Edinburgh Fringe, you have just under an hour usually, because you have to get all your
Yeah.
stuff in and then do your show and then get all your stuff out before the next show. And it's a really fast turnaround. So to tell a story in that time and to sort of bring the audience right in there to where you're at emotionally, and, clown was a brilliant way to do that, of having that instant connection and that instant relationship with the audience and sort of pulling them in really quickly.
Yeah.
I've always really loved, and there's just something so universal about clowns, because that show was largely non-verbal, and then there's something so connecting and universal about clowns, especially if they are non-verbal, that it's just something that's understood, all over the world. And you don't have to sort of understand it on a linguistic level, if you see what I mean. There's something so human about them that
Yeah. It'd be quite useful if you ever wanted to do that show abroad, I guess, because you wouldn't have to necessarily speak the language, because you can
yeah,
just
yes,
do it.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And I see that with a lot of friends who do clown shows. Yeah, they can travel,
Yeah.
they can take the show anywhere, and exactly, because it's just so it's just such a human, I don't know, it's such a human experience, if you see what I mean, watching clowns. So I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, I really love that way of working. And then in various ways, it's like now a lot of the work I do is more text based, and is more does contain a lot more language. So this show, this show that I'm touring at the moment, Kith and Kin, has a lot of language in it. But always, with everything I do, when I take the show into schools, I do say to the children, there's some parts of this that maybe, you might not understand so well because I've pulled in a bit of poetry or something, but just
Yeah.
focus on how you think my character is feeling, or what am I doing at that moment, or what, and so it doesn't sort of matter necessarily
Yeah.
about the words. It's more about the that sort of connection.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you want to maybe explain what Kith and Kin is? What's kind of I don't know, is it a
Yeah,
synopsis? What would you call
this
it?
is so this again is a show that I've created, which has a sort of historical setting,
Yeah.
and it's a show I've been working on for the last couple of years, and it's called Kith and Kin, Kith and Kin, and it's set in the 9th century in Wessex. And in my head, it's set in a very particular place in Somerset, near Wedmore. And I can sort of picture the place. And so
Yeah.
everything, when I talk in the show about to the east is this, and to the west, and it's kind of very much based there. And it's about a very everyday woman who is preparing the hall for, she doesn't live in the hall, of course, but she's getting the hall ready. She's sort of tidying the hall
Yeah.
and getting the hall ready for a big feast tonight, which all of her community is coming to. And so the audience are unexpected people in the hall, and then the whole show is a sort of an unraveling of for her of who are these people, who are you, why are you in the hall, and then also she can't help but tell them, oh, while you're here, let me tell you about, let me tell you about, and let me show you this, and so the
Yeah.
audience gets this real I hope immersive experience of her
Yeah.
life and her community and all the people around her and the people that mattered, and a lot of them then end up sort of becoming people from the community, that it ends up, I want the audience to feel at the end of it like they are just a part of this community, and they are part of the story. So it's mostly in modern English, but quite a sizable chunk. Different parts of the show, I go into Old English and sort of then out again,
Yeah.
and some of the Old English is conversational, so there are sections where I'm shouting outside to my mother, and that's in Old English, and so people can hear how people would have just, the sort of everyday chit chat kind of Old English. And then also I've pulled in sections from lots of known texts, little bits of Beowulf, and
Yeah.
the Lord's Prayer is in there, and bits from some of the poetry, just so that people can hear different known texts. And I wanted to give them a real life and a real sort of vibrancy. I remember when I was at university, and this period was very much still the Dark Ages, and I remember
Yeah.
one of my tutors, it was a sort of a quite a disparaging tone taken to this period. Well, it was all very brown and muddy, and there wasn't much to look at there. And yes, I have really experienced the opposite, and I wanted to shine a light on that and infuse it with a sort of a real vibrancy that people can feel actually what it might have been like to be there on that day.
It seems a fairly unique idea. So what made you want to do kind of the dual language side of it? And
again, it's maybe it's partly the clown. Yeah, it's like Old English sometimes, if you're lucky, can be like modern English enough that you can you can follow it, that you can get it. Some people say that listening to Old English is a bit like listening to people speaking English in the next room. It's
yeah,
sort of
a
like
bit muffled.
familiar, but it's and at times it's easy to follow. In one of the famous poems, a lot of the language is very difficult, and then there's a line that's "Anzona, it was rainy weather," and suddenly it's like, oh, I understood that bit. It was rainy weather. But I liked the idea that actually, if it wasn't possible to follow the language, again, like I said before, you could sort of zone out a bit, if you see what I mean, and focus on the character and what the character is feeling. And so there's a bit when I come back, when I do the show with an interval, I come back and I'm telling them this anecdote of what happened outside. And there was this really funny story with the chickens. And quite a lot of that is in Old English. But you don't have to follow it. You don't have to understand the words, because it's clear that there was this hilarious thing with the sheep and then the chickens and then and then this happened. And it was more that I want people to get. There's never any expectation in the show that people should or must follow everything, if you see what I mean. It doesn't matter. It's more just about that immersive experience of how it sounded. And for me, it's like a portal, it's like it's been a really enjoyable experience, completely mind-boggling at times, of like, oh crikey, why did I decide that learning Old English would be a good idea? But also it has felt like a portal of being able to get more of a sense of how people would have talked and communicated. And
I mean, I wondered if it maybe helps keep people's attention, because if you were just doing it all in English, people would drift off, but maybe in the wrong way. Whereas because the language flips, it kind of brings them back again. Maybe.
Yes, it keeps them on their toes. Yes,
especially younger, children, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I hear it when I do, because I do an abridged schools version, and I can hear them when I'm doing certain bits. I can hear them translating it to their neighbour, and trying to work out what I'm saying. And yeah, it does. It does sort of keep people on their toes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me a bit of how, I don't know whether they still do, but Eddie Izzard used to do stuff in French and English,
Oh
and it didn't
yeah.
matter. You didn't have to be able to speak French to understand it. And from what I understood, is he could, or sorry, I think it's she now could do it in France,
Yes.
um, and they didn't have to understand English necessarily. Like the jokes worked either way.
Yeah, that's very clever. Yes.
That's what it put me in
Yeah.
mind of.
That's what I hope with it. I've tried to strike a real balance of where it's possible, choosing language, certainly with the conversational bits, choosing words that maybe people will recognize a little bit more. If there's a choice of two words and one of the words is slightly more like the modern English, then I might go for that one just to sort of help people out a little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter if I didn't want it to be, I really didn't want it to be, some sort of very highbrow thing that, people felt like, oh no, that's not, but I don't,
yeah,
I wanted it to be very accessible and just, everyone is welcome, all ages. And you don't even need to necessarily sort of have English as a first language. It's that's also my hope with it, that it's always, everything I do is always very physical. So
yeah,
I hope it's very clear from what I'm doing that what's happening, and they can follow it. The other thing that was really important to me was that it's funny and it's playful, and I wanted to highlight the fact that people in this period, obviously life was tough. You had to sort of keep warm and survive the winters, and survive sort of numerous Viking invasions and all sorts of things, and warring neighbors and so on.
yeah,
And also they obviously loved a laugh, and when I looked at a lot of the riddles in the Exeter book, some of them are really filthy. Like
yeah. They are.
they obviously
I think
liked a good laugh.
I've got a
Um,
copy of it behind me, actually. Yeah,
yeah, some of them are really rude, and
yeah,
there's numerous things in different texts that highlight that yes, that they'd like to have a good laugh, and I wanted to get that across, that this was a colourful time with and a sort of a vibrant time, and I wanted, so it's a comedy essentially. Yes, which I hope is appealing then to quite a broad range of people.
yeah. I mean, I was going to ask kind of what you hope people take away from the show as well. Like, do you hope they learn something about that period of history as well?
Yes. There's certain things. It's almost like you could come and you could take away lots of historical knowledge from it, if you see what I mean, because everything in it, I've tried to
Yeah.
make sure that everything in the show actually is it's based on something that we know, you know,
Mm.
and it's based on research, and it's based on things, but it's not forced at the audience, if you see what I mean. This happened, and this is really important historical knowledge. I've tried to pepper it lightly.
So almost absorbing it unknowingly.
Yes,
Just
exactly. So it
yeah,
might be that people then pick things up, but not necessarily. It's like they might just come away with, I hope, a sense of what it feels like to sit around a fire with others, and to have that experience of being together, around a fire, listening to a story, or watching a sort of a performance, because that's something that often we don't do very much anymore, sort of coming together, and
yeah,
that sense of community that was very, very much important at that time. The worst thing that could happen to you was being exiled. That was the worst thing. So that sense of togetherness, which is very universal and very human, that's also what I hope that people take away, or just that they've come and watched an entertaining show, and they've laughed, and that's also
Yeah.
really important. So yes, that's any or all of those things would be great.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well when I have people who come who are interested in language, and I've had people from Germany and Holland, Scandinavia, Iceland, who've all said that, I could pick up quite a lot of the Old English, and that's really interesting. So there's that aspect as well of the language and how it appeals to people differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also it's like with what I've seen of your work, it's it's a very immersive experience, and to go somewhere and to have the smells and the to be able to touch things, that sort of sensory experience is so beyond normal life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
Really
could stand in
special.
a room and talk about food to people for 4 hours and they'd fall
Yeah.
asleep. But if they're making butter
Yeah.
and they're cooking a stew on the fire and
And they're
they're involved,
touching things
they're
and smelling
absorbing that
things.
information almost
Yeah, it's on a very
subconsciously.
different level, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's really special and that's really unique. And yes, I want to include a bit of that as well, and for people to have that feeling of actually they've time traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also with the language, I've tried to pepper in enough Old English that hopefully by the end they might feel like a lot more of the show was in Old English than it actually was, and they understood it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my hope.
Because you mentioned that you did a degree in history.
Mm.
So I wondered whether, did you always have an interest in history kind of growing up to that point? What was kind of your in to that side of things?
Yeah, I've always loved history. Yes, I've always loved, as a child, anything to do with history, watching things, reading things. I think what I realized when I went to university is I don't find it so easy to sit down and read books and then turn them into an essay.
Yeah.
And I think that was then, this is how I now do an essay, if you see what I mean. So this show, Kith and Kin, my other shows, it's like that's actually how I would have rather had how I would rather have done my
Yeah.
essays at university. Like, okay, I'll do my reading, fine, and then I'll turn it into a show. And that's yes, that's actually I think how I prefer to work.
Mm.
Yes. So yeah, I've always been interested. Again, always interested in social history and everyday history.
I had another question, but based on what you've said, I'm going to guess that there might not be an answer. But I wondered whether there were any specific mythologies that you're kind of particularly interested, or anything that you might want to kind of. I mean, you did mention Beowulf kind of peppered into Kith and Kin. Is there anything like that you'd ever want to do as a performance? It doesn't necessarily have to be from that period either. I mean, from any time really.
Probably not. No. Again, I think it would be because I was thinking like what would my next show be? What would it look like? But again, I think it would be very much based around a person's story, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only way I can work. Yeah, realistically, I think I would. I'm waiting for the inspiration to hit for the next
For the
project,
next one.
and then we'll
Yeah.
see. I spent because the one of the reasons that this show happened was I've been volunteering for the last few years at Avalon Archaeology
Yeah.
in Shapwick near Glastonbury,
Yeah,
and
I know.
I was every Wednesday. They have an amazing team of volunteers who come, who essentially built the place. You know, in the years before I joined, all the hard work had been done, and then I was lucky enough to join them. And yeah, I've done quite a lot of the kind of the smaller jobs, the finishing off jobs. So I did a lot of mosaicing. The Roman villa had been built, and then I spent a couple of years, actually, some very happy Wednesdays, mosaicing the floor, which was an
Nice.
amazing
Yeah.
experience. Really great, very meditative, and
Yeah.
yeah, really enjoyable. And again, that made me think. You know, is there something there? Is there something to play with there? But that was where this show originated, because they have the beautiful reconstruction Saxon hall there, which is based on a hall, or the remains of a hall, you know, that was found near Cheddar, which
Yeah.
was 9th century. And yes, when I set foot in that hall, it was like, I have to create
That's
something.
stunning, isn't it?
It's beautiful. And I think
Yeah.
what's lovely about it, and what you can really feel there, is it was just made, like, the team of, you know, volunteers and staff who've made it have such a warmth and a sense of humor, and you know, a heart about them, and you can kind of feel it in the building. It's just
Yeah.
infused with this really lovely energy. And yeah, so I that's where I premiered the show, and that was essentially always in my mind when I was writing it, was that place.
Yeah.
Yes. So
It's an underrated site as well. I don't think, like, it's not so well known, is it? It's
yeah, I think now it's yeah, they do a lot of events there. I did a fabulous well, you've done an event there.
yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, I did a brilliant natural dyeing course recently, and there's all sorts happening, and I think it's, yeah, the word is spreading, and there's lots of stuff going on, and it's yes, it's such an amazing place. I love it. Yeah.
It's interesting that that's kind of where your inspiration for the story came from. So I wonder, would you, maybe your next one be another time period, do you think? Would you go, like you said, they got the Roman section, or maybe even to the prehistory? Because I
Maybe.
think they've got a
Yes.
roundhouse now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The
Yeah.
roundhouse is yes, I think is pretty much done now. They were painting it. They were doing some
Oh,
beautiful
wow.
painting coloured patterns on the front recently, and I think they've just I haven't been able to go for the last few weeks with work and school holidays and so on, but they've just put
Yep.
up a mast on the long ship, the
Oh,
Vike
wow.
ship. So
Nice. Yeah.
yes, it is a really, really amazing site. And yeah, I did wonder, like, should I create a show for each, you know, for
Yeah.
each spot? But who knows? I'm waiting. It's like one of those things that you just can't force, you know. It's like ding, it will suddenly, there it is. That's the idea. And then yes, and then I just have to work out how to make it happen. So I'm waiting for
Yeah.
that. I'm waiting
Inspiration.
for
Yeah.
inspiration. Yes. Yeah.
So whilst we're talking about Avalon Marsh as well, the other thing I know you're involved with is that they've got an escape room coming up, I think in October.
Yes. Yeah, we did it in May. I want to say May,
Yeah.
June. And then yes, we're repeating it because it was very successful, which was great, in October for 2 days. I think it's the 24th and 25th of October. Anglo-Saxon escape room called Escape of the Koning, Escape of the King.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was created by Mark Cox, who I know you know, who
I
is
do. I'm trying to get him on the podcast, as told you earlier. So if you're listening, Mark,
yes,
there's a
Mark.
nudge.
He's created, because he created it,
Yeah.
and it's brilliant. It's ingenious. This series of very clever clues around the hall, all sorts of different types of clues where people can very much, you know, touch things and open things and move things, and yeah, it's very, very clever. And then we both play a character in it, because a lot of escape rooms, you're just in a room and you just have to solve things. And
Yeah.
this one, you know, there are these two characters that are part of it. Yes, and it's a very sensory, very immersive experience. The fire is smouldering, and there's things all around that people can touch, and yeah, we wanted people to feel like they'd been transported back in time, and they'd sort of, if they managed to complete the escape room, then they've helped save the inhabitants from certain death. So yes, it's really great. It's really great fun, and yeah, it was lovely to be part of. So it's great that we're doing it again. My character only really speaks Old English for a lot of the time, and then I switch. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
been really fun as well.
That's interesting. Whilst they're trying to get answers out of you, and you just reply in Old English. Going,
Yes,
I don't speak English. Sorry.
yes, sorry. Oh, yes. Yeah,
Yeah. Did you say that was over 2 days, or is that two separate days? As
I think it's the Friday and Saturday, 24th,
yeah.
25th of October. Yes, and there's slots throughout both days.
Ah, I see what you
Um,
mean. Yeah.
yes.
It's not one event over 2 days, is what I was. I
Oh
thought that
yeah.
was a long escape
Honestly,
room.
crikey. No. Yeah, no. It's sort
Right.
of an hour long, and you book your seat.
Right.
And yes, through the day, there's about 6 slots or something that you can
I'm
book
gonna
on.
have to check my diary because I know I've got a lot on in October, and like that could be quite fun to come
Yeah,
along. But I've got a
come.
feeling. What
That
were
would
the
be
dates?
fun. 24th,
20.
25th. It's the Friday and Saturday of half term. It's the beginning of, if your
Yeah.
half terms are the same. Yes.
Yeah, I'm down in Poole that weekend
Oh,
for the
nice.
Uncanny Podcast Live.
Ah, great. Danny Robbins. I went to see
Yeah.
222 A Ghost Story the other night that he
Oh,
wrote.
nice. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I love him. He's great.
My other interest. We're trying to get him on the other podcast, but he's very hard to pin down.
Yes, I can imagine. Yes.
Yeah.
This
We're
man
like
is very popular.
we've got as far as his PA and it's like and they're trying to make it work, but it's just yeah. We're hoping
Fingers.
October's the day. So if I'm not at your event, it's because I'm interviewing Danny Robbins.
Well, that's fair enough. I'll let you off that one. That's a reasonable excuse.
Yeah. But if you do another one, I'll have to come along because
Yeah, that's the hope, because it could be with, a lot of people who came the first time round were asking, will you do another one? Will you do a different one?
yeah.
So yes, watch this space. We'll have to persuade Mark to write a level 2. Yeah, because
Or you do one in the Roman house
yeah, that's
or
true. Yeah, we can just move around
change
the buildings,
location.
and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That would be very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm a
that was so
bit
rare.
biased.
I mean, people who came said, they just hadn't experienced something like that before. And quite a few of them had done a lot of different escape rooms, but
Yeah.
certainly nothing like that. And that was, that was really nice that it was something
Yeah.
so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anything like it before. It's probably a good way again. It's that thing about getting people involved with history without them even knowing it, right? They're probably
Yeah.
learning something whilst they're there.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's very accessible. It's like you don't have to have any prior knowledge of the period. And you can just enjoy it. Yeah. You can sort of enjoy it at lots of different levels, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's really great. And it's just great fun. Yes. Yeah, that really matters. With sort of everything I do, I never want anything to feel a sort of, oh no, that's not for me, because that's, it's like I always want things to feel accessible and open to everyone. It matters to me.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the because you mentioned you did Edinburgh before. Have you ever seen the Mythos Ragnarok show at Edinburgh?
No,
Do you know what I'm talking about or not?
no, I don't think I do.
So it's a wrestling show
All
that
right.
tells Norse mythology and the story of
Oh,
Ragnarok.
oh, that's
And
clever.
so talking about that kind of, bringing people in that maybe wouldn't normally be into the history, but it tells the myths through wrestling. And
Yeah,
it's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. It's
yeah, that
amazing.
sounds amazing.
They've
Yes.
just, I think they're at the last couple of days for this year, but they do it every year at
Oh,
Edinburgh.
wow.
and they occasionally bring it to kind of London. I think they went to the Netherlands last year. And it's insane. I mean, I took my who would have been 7-year-old daughter because it was last year, I think. So she'd been 7, and we sat front row, and the sounds of men being thrown against the mats, and it was like deafening, and all
Mm,
this like really loud kind of rock music and stuff throughout the event.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I would, yes. I'm hoping to go next year to the festival. So, yes, I will definitely check that out if I do, because that sounds brilliant.
Yes, it's Ed Gamester's show and his creation, but I mean, there's a whole team behind them,
That's a
and
very cool name.
yeah,
That
yeah,
sounds
he came on the podcast. I think it was after Edinburgh last year. I think because that's what it was. Is I met him briefly after the show, and then he came on the podcast over Zoom.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'll add that to my list.
Well, it's always worth, and people that are listening might not be aware of it, so it's something
Mm,
I would definitely
yeah,
recommend people
definitely.
check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just put me in mind of what you do because I mean, not saying you're wrestling people, but
I would be awful at wrestling with my little spindly arms.
but it's just that idea of combining kind of two worlds and bringing them together to make something that like you're talking
Yeah.
about clowns and history together and
Mm.
wrestling and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
What
it's
about
the
wrestling
same.
clowns? That'd be good.
I feel like that's like a nightmare for some people though,
Yeah, it
wrestling
probably
clowns.
would be. Yeah. I'm quite scared of clowns, though, to be fair. I've never been able to. I was never a painted face clown. I find them very frightening. Sometimes I'd wear a red nose, but that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you frighten yourself looking in the mirror.
Yes. Well, that happens. That happens anyway. But yes. Yeah, yeah. I've never been a fan of painted face clowns, but
Uh, so is there anything that, because you know more about you than I do, I would hope. Um, so is there anything that you think we haven't spoken about yet that you'd like to kind of talk about or mention or because if not, I've got some questions that I ask every guest and we can move on to those.
I'm a big fan. So just recently, because I do my own shows, but then I also, collaborate with other companies. So
Yeah.
I was recently doing Garden Theatre Festival in Bath in June. Sorry, it's got incredibly dark in here. The sun's moved behind a cloud, hiding in the dark. Yeah, so I was doing the Garden Theatre Festival in Bath at the Holborn
Yeah.
Museum in the grounds, and we did Romeo and Juliet and Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
And they were very, I mean, it was very intense because we were doing a performance over a week of each one, if you see what I mean. But the second one, we were rehearsing during the day while we were performing the first one. So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
proper rep. So it was
Yeah.
hard work, but it was great. And what I loved about them and what I really enjoy is in both shows, there was 4 actors and we were all playing, lots of different characters. So in Romeo and Juliet, I was the nurse and Tybalt,
Yeah.
and a couple of other small roles. And then in Pride and Prejudice, I was Mr. Darcy, obviously,
Obviously.
as you do, and then Mr. Collins and Mr. Bennett. I just played men in that one, but they were really good fun
Yeah.
because, yeah, I've always very much loved playing lots of characters, jumping between characters and switching around. Yes, and there's a lot of that in Kith and Kin as well, of sort of trying to bring to life lots of different people. And that's something I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Multi-rolling. Yeah, it doesn't make life particularly easy for myself, but never a dull moment.
Yeah. Got to keep it interesting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, hit me with these questions.
Yeah. So the first question is, do you think you could survive on a Viking Age diet?
Yes. Yes, I think
Yes.
I could. Yes. I'm yeah, I have numerous sort of slightly bizarre dietary requirements now that mean there's numerous things that I can't eat which rule out quite a lot of the stuff that they wouldn't have had anyway. So I
Yeah.
think I eat a fairly sort of Viking age
Yeah.
diet anyway. So
Okay.
yes, I
Yeah.
think I would do quite well.
And
As
there
long
is
as
a
it was a sort of a good, a good year, the weather had been decent and there was a decent sort of harvest, or
yes.
we could sort of forage enough stuff. But yeah,
There's a
yeah,
connected question, which is there anything you would miss if you were living on a Viking Age diet?
chocolate, yes, and sour sweets. I suppose you could have some sour, sort of sour berries and things, couldn't you?
Eat some
Yeah,
sloes, maybe.
that's
They're not
true.
really sweet though, are
Sour.
they? They're just sour.
Yeah, some underripe gooseberries or something. Um, Probably yes. Um, my guilty pleasure is the occasional. I get a pack of cheese strings, and there's something so very very sort of processed about them that they're
Yeah.
really lovely. And yes, I would sort of miss little sort of guilty pleasures like that. I don't know what they had
Yeah.
in those days for for
Didn't
that.
have cheese strings as far as I'm
They didn't
aware.
have cheese. They didn't have cheese strings. No.
You know what? I have to confess. I have to confess. I don't think I've ever had a cheese string.
Ah, it's a sort of
Mm.
squeaky food.
I know what they are. I mean, like my daughter's had them, but I don't think I've ever actually
Yeah.
eaten one myself. It's like what I would class as like McDonald's rubber cheese, right?
Yes, it's rubbery,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
and bizarrely nice. Yeah.
Mm. I should
um,
probably try one now, I guess. But
yeah, I like them.
yeah.
So yeah, something bizarre like that. I would miss. Um,
Yeah.
and just being able to get hold of, like, I really love Japanese food and
Yeah.
um, Turkish food and Indian food, and yeah, to be able to eat food from other places. If you couldn't do that,
Variety.
you
Yeah.
can't get a takeaway. That would be
Yeah.
devastating. Yeah, yeah,
That's
variety.
like so two people have given my favorite answer to date, and it's the answer was convenience.
Yes,
And like, there you go, you win the podcast.
you just have to
Yeah.
always make everything, and that would be
Yeah.
wearing.
Or have someone to make it for you, I
That's
guess, if
true.
you're of such a
Yes,
status.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So the next question is one a lot of people struggle with. Um, it is a bit odd. There is a story behind, because I never used to ask this one, but it came in after a guest said something. Um, so it's what's the weirdest thing in your kitchen?
I think. Well, my son is always doing interesting science experiments with the contents of the kitchen, with little test tubes and
Oh
pipettes.
yeah. Okay. It's
So
got to
there's
be something
often,
in there then.
talking of jars of weird things, there's often a jar of something that's sat on the side for a while, and then I'll say, "What is this? Like, where has this come from?" And then he'll say, "Oh, I mixed this and this and all sorts of weird stuff from the kitchen that just to see what would happen." And then he'll sort of pH test it or something. And
Yeah.
so there's often a jar of interesting experiment. At the moment, there's quite often a cat which doesn't belong to us, which we've
Okay.
acquired a cat, and
Yeah.
now we seem to have acquired another cat. So we're just in the process of slowly becoming a sort of crazy cat lady by acquiring other people's cats.
Do you not have
Yes,
to get something else to get rid of the cat, and then you get somebody to get rid of that, and
I just am very embracing of the cat. I want to just keep
yeah,
collecting cats.
that's how
So
you become a cat lady.
yes, I am leaning heavily into this. I'm quite happy to become a crazy cat lady. So
That's fair. I think that's the
yes,
way. You have to embrace these things rather than try to force them
yes.
away.
But yeah, so a strange cat that doesn't belong
Yeah.
to us. He's not strange. He's beautiful. And yeah, interesting science experiments. That's probably the weirdest things.
Yeah. All
Yes.
right. So, what is the worst food you've ever eaten?
Oh, I think it's gonna have to be snail. I I ate one deliberately in France,
Yeah.
and then I accidentally bit the head on, maybe that was a slug that was
Oh,
in a salad, and just anything mollusky,
yeah.
I never want to ever consume. Yeah.
They're gross. They are gross.
Yeah, even if it's in some incredibly delicious garlicky sauce or something. No, I
Do
just,
people say that, right? But then it's the sauce that's delicious. Get rid of the horrible bit
yes,
and have
that's
the
it.
sauce with something
Sauce
nice.
is amazing. Dip some bread in
Yeah.
it or something lovely.
Yes.
But it's the text, the chewiness, and oh, it's just,
Mm.
oh yeah, I I ate, yeah, snail and a bit of slug, but luckily I managed to spit that out. And because you shouldn't eat slugs, obviously, it's not very good for you at all. So don't do that.
No, don't recommend it.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, no, thank you. Other than that, I can't think of anything too weird.
What's the most memorable meal you've ever had? I guess the lettuce with the slug in it. It's quite
Ugh,
memorable.
God, for all the wrong reasons. Um, when I was doing a clown course in Italy. I did a lot of clown training and courses in Italy because I really love Italian clowns. They're like an exaggerated version of Italian people. You know that the sort of the stereotype I guess we have of Italian people as very, very vibrant, very always gesticulating with their hands, or the Italian clowns that I met are a sort of larger than life version of that.
Yeah.
Are very playful, and yeah, I really love doing stuff there. And we went out for a meal, all the clowns, the clown students and the teachers, and we went for a meal in this town, and it was just that glorious classic Italian thing. We were all sat at a long table just in this in this street. It was like a side street, and there was this long table, and we were just all sat along this long table. And it was one of those meals that went on for ages because that's what happens there. There's no rush. There's no kind of eat quickly and get home.
Yeah.
And then these couple of old ladies came out who just happened to live near where we were, and they just started singing and sort of tap dancing just because, just because. And it was
Yeah.
just, I remember, when you're just like, wow, this is utterly glorious. And it was so bizarre and just so lovely. Yeah, that was very memorable
Mm.
because you don't expect these lovely two old ladies to come out and just start sort of tap dancing and singing, um, and I loved it.
That's a great answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one of them. Yeah, being in sort of unexpectedly lovely places, and then there's food, which makes it even lovelier.
Mm.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. I remember also I did a show in Yonkers in New York. We were in this sort of dilapidated. It was a converted manor house that had been turned into this amazing venue for this show we were doing, and they had this huge, great spread for all the performers of these epic New York pizzas, which was just something else, incredible.
Yeah.
And there was all the cab drivers there with us who were driving us between places, and we were teaching them lots of English expressions. And I remember we taught the some of the drivers how to say that we were if someone was rat-arsed, if you were drunk, so you're rat-arsed. And then one of them came over later on and said, I can't, sorry, apologies, I can't do a New York accent, but he said, yeah, I'm completely mouse-assed. And he sort of almost got it, but yeah, mouse-assed instead of rat-assed, which I really loved. But yes, I have this connection of amazing pizza and a mouse-assed cab driver.
I think we need to make that a thing.
Yeah,
Mouse-assed.
mouse-assed.
That's almost like
Maybe
an
that's
expression
slightly
for
drunk.
maybe like, yeah, I was going to say that's a
Yeah, yeah.
slightly drunk. You're
Just a bit
mouse-assed.
tipsy, mouse-assed. Yes.
About a tipple.
Yeah, exactly.
So the last question is, when you die, your relatives are preparing your grave goods. What food and drink do you get to take to the feast in Valhalla?
cheese strings.
Cheese strings and snails.
Oh, what food and drink?
Mm.
I think like a proper roast, all the trimmings. Yes. And a nice Sauvignon Blanc.
Nice.
I'd be
Yeah.
happy with that. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
sort me out. Yeah.
And
Proper.
good.
Yeah. Good roast potatoes. Decent gravy. I'll be happy.
Gravy's a bit messy for the grave, though, isn't it? It's a little bit.
Gravy.
Just pour it in.
By that stage, I won't care
Yeah.
too much.
Right.
So, yeah, just pour it in. I'm anointed with gravy. Yes.
Good.
Proper roast. Yes.
Yeah.
Good cauliflower cheese as well in there, I reckon.
Yeah. With the roast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So, yeah, I mean, where's best for people to find out more about you, kind of what you do? Have you got a website, anything like that?
I do have a website. My website is just my name, Leela Bunce, LWLABUNCE.com. And that's got lots of information on it and all the tour dates. Kith and Kin is next going to the beautiful Abbott's Kitchen at Glastonbury Abbey.
Lovely.
I was there in April and then back again by popular demand. In September the 26th, I'm there at Glastonbury Abbey. And then Wantage are doing Alfred Festival near Oxford on the 26th of October.
Yeah, I was meant to be there actually.
Oh.
I double booked myself with the Uncanny live event.
Oh yeah, Danny Robbins again. Great.
It's it's the day before, and I was like, I can't get back from pool and get to Wantage and set up and do a day's event. It's not going to work.
You better get this interview. Yeah, fair dues. Yeah, Wantage, and then back at Avalon Archaeology on the 7th of November. Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
Yes.
I might be able to make that one. I'll see if I can get along and watch the show.
Do. Yes.
Yeah. Because Avalon's fairly close for me. I think it takes me about an hour.
Oh,
it's
not too bad. You've got no excuse. As long as bring Danny Robbins. Your new mate.
Yeah.
On Facebook, I have a page for Kith and Kin, which is Kith and Kin Theatre Show. Yes. And Instagram is just me.
Just you.
Instagram, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But everything's most clear from on my website. That's got all the dates and so on there.
Is that where people can book? Sorry.
Yeah, through there. There's links. There's links for all the dates.
Yeah.
There's links to all the venue sites and so on.
Is that including the escape rooms? Is that booked through?
Yeah, that links through, or that's through the Avalon Archaeology website or Avalon Marshes website. Yes, that's got the links to that. Yeah, no, it's really great. It's great to get the show out and see. It's sort of opened unexpected doors, like the escape room.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm sort of learning Old English, and I don't profess to be fluent. It's a life's work, really, the Old English.
Yeah.
And I'm just, my teacher has the expression "más on ar," more than before. Each day you just learn a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and it gradually builds. But yeah, I thought, well, I'll learn it for this show, and then actually it's opened some unexpected doors, like the escape room, which has been really great. And it's sort of taking me in interesting directions. So I'm going with it because it's been really lovely.
So thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's been great to chat to you and learn a bit more about what you do.
Yeah, it was lovely. Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for watching and listening, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.